What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Harook Jones, back with another one, and today we're gonna discuss one of the greatest first-person shooters on the market, aka FPS. For those who don't know what the acronym stands for, we're discussing
the future of the finals!
I ain't gonna lie.
This is one game I never imagined I would fall in love with. I mean, I'd have 10 kids with this, bruh. I ain't gonna cap. That finals WAP ain't no joke. The finals really and truly is the future of first-person shooters in terms of auto design, gun design, movement, the verticality and freedom you get within areas you play in, i.e. grappling hook, gateway, DMAT, jump pads, and more. The impressive physics within the game in general, and of course the destructible environments that Embark servers tend to struggle stabilizing, but nonetheless, the highs are high enough to dismiss the lows. There quite literally isn't anything that's on the level of the destructible environments like the finals. And yes, that includes the new Battlefield 6. When you play the finals, you can just feel the passion and love that went into designing this game from top to bottom. And when it comes to the music, I mean, just listen to it. They definitely have some incredible in-house or outsourced EDM and synth-wavy producers providing them with nothing but bangers every season. We're talking from season 1 to 7, just nothing but bangers. Banger after banger after banger after banger. This game is quite literally like no other FPS on the market. When I first saw its alpha build and beta trailers a few years ago, I was mind blown by the immaculate graphical fidelity, the intense branding within the fiction of the game. By the way, I'm team Isolt or Isolt, however you pronounce it. The character designs, outfits, in general, are like no other FPS on the market. I'm sure you've heard a million times if you keep up with the finals content creators of any sort. But again, I agree that the finals has the best cosmetics within any FPS on the market. I will say they need to ease up on the reskinning of different pieces of clothing, but outside of that, they're at the tippity top and they're only halfway up. And of course, I gotta give praise to the overall world design. The lighting, its overall vibrant, positive aesthetic that's akin to, I would say, Fortnite in terms of vibrancy in general. All this was showcased within the early trailers, and even currently, they just keep improving the designs and styles of their cosmetics and even borrowing ideas from the community when it comes to different gadget and weapon skins. The whole futuristic game show setting was something that sounded, well, generic on paper until you witnessed how Embark Studios executed this simple idea within the trailers in the beta build, and then I was immediately sold. To me, it was the epitome of a true next-gen modern FPS game. It looked like what a modern shooter should look like, unlike the recent CODs that we've been getting.
No.
Boring.
I just loved how the devs managed to perfectly combine cyberpunk, hip-hop culture, retro gaming culture, and many other themes into one, and it didn't look or feel forced or out of place, especially since the game takes place in a virtual reality arena within a futuristic dystopia, where the arena, and I ain't talking about Doc's arena, the people in that particular game world, the Vice is the arena. It gives people a break from their mundane lives, right? That's kind of the whole theme behind it. The game was obviously greatly inspired by the movie Ready Player One, especially with the death animations. Instead of blood and gore, the players turn into coins, and what remains is a statue that the teammate of said dead player can grab or throw, and of course revive, which takes a few seconds. The only problem is, and it's not really a problem, it's just like it is what it is that within a game that's this fast-paced and this sweaty, a few seconds can feel like centuries, varying on the situation. But that's part of the fun and thrill of the finals. It truly is a game of high risk, high reward. Now, I'm not gonna go into detail on the game mechanics or what the game's about entirely in terms of like the game modes, the quick cache, the banquet, the power shift, or the terminal attack. We're not gonna go into detail on that. There's millions of other videos on YouTube right now that go far more in depth on these game modes and the different strats and whatnot. Instead, we're gonna attack a specific topic that no one covers for this game. And that's gonna be essentially the whole series of the finals, a problematic masterpiece. We're gonna cover topics that no one else covers, typically speaking. Anywho, despite how great this game is, there are some serious issues with it that prevent the game from being acknowledged as a true competitor in this incredibly competitive FPS gaming market. So get ready, y'all. We're going to have a deep dive on why the finals isn't where it needs to be right now, because the gaming world acts like the game doesn't exist. When streamers are talking about FPS games or fun FPS games, they rarely ever bring up the finals. And as someone who has damn near 2,000 hours in the game, as someone who's been playing video games in general for 20 plus years, as someone who has played Halo 1 through Infinite, who's played the Doom series, Unreal Tournament, damn near all the Call of Duties except for the first and the second one. I didn't play those two. Anyway, I've also played the Medal of Honor, SOCOM, Quake, Counter-Strike, Half-Life series, Titanfall series, Apex Legends, Destiny series, Valorant, Ready or Not, Rust, DayZ, H1Z1, Killing Flow, Payday, PUBG, Zero Hour, World War III, Battlefield, Delta Force, Dying Light, Bright Memory, X-Defiant, Hunt Showdown, Deathloop, the Forest series, Paladins, Fallout series, BioShock series, Rainbow Six series, Borderlands series, Far Cry series, and many more series that I play. I ain't gonna lie, your boy's a true gamer. Not only do I delve into JRPGs, as y'all know, I also put FPS as heavy. I've always loved FPSs, and of course, I can't forget, I have played, of course, GoldenEye. So let's get right into it, y'all. Let's get into why the finals is not where it needs to be and how it can improve on these problems. And these are really big problems that it has that's really keeping it back. This video is not another glaze session that most finals content creators love to have. I ain't trying to hate, but most people who cover the finals, they're the milquetoast. They just glaze. They just, oh, it's the greatest thing and it can do no wrong. There's one problem and that's it. Anyway, no, nigga. We're gonna break it down to a T what the issues are. Let's get it. Let's jump right into the crux of the many glaring, or is it blaring, or is it either? I don't. DEI, ESG scores, wokeness as we know it, it's all been one big plague within the Western and some aspects of the Eastern branch of the entertainment industry as a whole. And as we all know at this particular point, the gaming industry is most definitely no exception. One thing people seem to have a hard time wrapping their heads around is that the entertainment industry is no longer about strictly the bottom line, despite the fact that the populace are slowly being priced out of modern entertainment due to inflation, Trump tariffs, the endless predatory methods of these studios with their pay-to-win in-game purchases, as well as just FOMO for cosmetics that they simply can't afford, but they manage to scrape up the coins to get it somehow. Mommy, I need your credit card so I can buy V-Bucks. I can get the new gacha, the new character in Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact or Zenless Zone Zero or Wuthering Waves or, you know, all the Chinese games that's biggest that the people go into. Yeah. At this particular point, y'all, it's primarily about the message and reassuring said messages are propagated to maximum efficiency. This is why Disney, Hollywood, and almost the entirety of the Western branch of the gaming industry as a whole have no problem losing money on projects that the silent majority rejects. As long as they're able to plant that seed in your brain, into your subconsciousness, about all these absurdities, that's enough for them. On the contrary to popular belief, these companies are not as dumb as many have been led to believe. They know a significant portion of the Western population, and really the globe, if we're gonna keep it 100, does not want to be propagandized with identity politics, feminism, communism, Marxism, and many other isms. But the reality is, when you have a massive financial institutions that'll punish these corporations for not meeting their specific requirements to receive low interest rate loans.
Well, behaviors are gonna have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
For these projects, on top of the cult-like crusade of force-feeding their messaging to the public, ladies and gentlemen, we could see a post-entertainment era when it comes to the big-budget AAA projects in the future. And I'm talking about the AAA projects. I ain't talking about, like, you know, the indie games, because I think the indie games are gonna thrive, for sure. They're the future. I've always been a firm believer that they're the future, because they're not bound by the harsh stipulations that are placed upon the AAA gaming studios, as well as the major Hollywood studios. For the indie studios, it's all about creativity, passion, and love for the medium, and materializing their ideas for the player's enjoyment. But there are still a few small studios that want to grow into becoming a massive AAA juggernaut, and they're hitting the required notes to get there. Embark Studios. The finals, unfortunately, is of no exception. As you can see here, majority of the female faces in the game are stronger than sandpaper. Look at this bitch. God,
they're not that bad, Haru. You're just a fucking incel, sexist bigot. You never touched a girl before, clearly. They would never touch you ever.
Shut the fuck up, nigga.
And that, my friends, is intentional. Do y'all remember Microsoft's Gaming for Everyone product inclusion framework, where it would ask the dev team or whoever, are your female characters equipped with clothing and armor that fits their task? Do they have exaggerated body proportions? Exaggerated? Nigga, what the fuck does that mean? What does that even mean, bruh? Like, I thought you wokies were all about body positivity, my body, my choice. Take me as I am. Take me as I am. Take me as I am. As a woman. These ideologues only pertain to propaganda tools, huh? Now look at the body options for the finals. Y'all notice something very, odd? Yes, that's right. There's no gender option, but wait, it gets even better. The body types that you could originally pick were fat or borderline fat for all contestant options. That's for all of them. You don't get to have baby girls. You get to have Cuffem. Respectfully Cuffem. Fuck with you, but you know, is what it is. Or Guuuurl. That's your options. Yeah. However, I will admit it's less noticeable with the light class, but medium and heavy, you got 2 out of shape flabby options. And recently with season 6, they finally, after 5 fucking seasons, they finally released the muscular body types. It's funny because yes, there are women who are curvy, thick as and G the J cups. Yes, they exist. Yes, wokies. Yes, Sweden. Yes, Black Rock. Yes, San Francisco. Yes, woke world, Seattle, etc. Yes, they exist, guys. I mean, Los Angeles, yes, they exist. There's women with G cups and J cups. Yes, they exist. There's plenty in Ukraine, Germany, Russia, West, East, North, and Central Africa. You got them in Persia too, in Middle East. The Dominican Republic is full of quote unquote exaggerated body proportions. And these are natural women. This is why the Korean game studio Shift Up tweeting a real Korean curvy model was such an own to the woke radical left chronically online weirdos, which is, let's be honest, that's a big portion of, you know, Twitter. Not so much the radical left, but definitely the chronically online and the weirdo part. That's X, buddy. That's definitely X. That tweet alone, though, that alone debunked their whole stance on policing the body types within fiction, as well as their perception of what is and isn't a realistic or normal for the type of body a woman should or even could have. Embark unfortunately folded to these people. But remember, Embark is a Swedish company, and let's be honest, Sweden, for the most part, doesn't shy away from wokeism. Quite the opposite. By and large, they embrace it. And I get it. I'm not here to denigrate anyone. This is me calling it like I see it and read it. I primarily use my light class, anime face, the anime skin option. I pick her because I want my girl to look attractive. I'm sorry. Some of y'all don't give a fuck. I mean, that's fine, but I mean, I want my baby girl, you know, if she's representing your boy, she gotta be sexy, man. She gotta be fly. She gotta be clean. Niggas gotta wanna like, it is what it is, bruh. Like, if she had a husband, he's like, yo, she's so bad, even you can have her, type shit. So it's kind of a little too gay for, I like gay though, but yeah, I'm not a cuck, but yeah. I want my baby girl to have titties and ale. Give us some midriff tops, man. Like maybe some damaged jeans while y'all at it. Maybe higher skirts, high heels even. Because yes, when I leave my home, there's tons of women with high-ass skirts that no man pressured them.
Oh my God, misogyny.
In short, I've been playing games for most of my life.
I'm not a fan of video games. The game stars a character named Bayonetta. It's your basic story of a shape-shifting witch dressed in skin-tight leather, powerful weapons, involves her stripping all her clothes off and turning her hair into an evil demon weapon fighting machine. Did you get that? The whole taking all her clothes off in order to use her hair as a weapon? Because clearly you can't use your hair to drag demons down to hell if you're fully clothed. Predictably, the internet is now infested with gamers' screen captures of the various ways that they got Bayonetta naked, as if this pornographic, overly sexualized the way that Bayonetta restores her power is by sucking on a lollipop. But I'm not really here to discuss the overly sexualized adolescent male fantasy that Bayonetta is, but rather talk about first the positive things about the game. She's a single mother, and kind of it. In dozens of third-person games with playable female characters, the character's butt is brought to the forefront, and that's where the player's focus is directed. In Batman Arkham City, for instance, the player's gaze is drawn to Catwoman's behind, which is emphasized by her costume and exaggerated hip sway.
You don't need no man. You are strong, independent woman.
Penis, dicks, ass, titties.
Yeah. No man pressured them to wear and give us more outfits like, you know, like this one right here. This sexy latex. It's not really latex, like leather, like, I don't know. It looks latexy, but it's sexy and I like it. You know, I mean, I'm sure women like it too, because women want to be sexy too. On the contrary to popular belief by the wokies, women want to look and feel sexy too. It is what it is. Not everything has to be unisex, Embark. And I get that BlackRock may or may not, or any other woke financial institution, I know they may have y'all by the balls, or maybe you generally share that ideology. Nexon, the parent company to Embark, does have a ESG-related initiatives based on frameworks, which is what I mentioned earlier. But I can assure you, having sexy outfits and prettier-faced options for contestants will have you stand out from the rest of the woke slop out there. And you'll definitely generate a higher concentration of revenue simply for your bravery. And on top of that, you'll have more girls want to play the goddamn game too. Like that Infinity Nikki game and Princess games. You can dress up the baby girl, make her look sexy, fly, and if you guys have the courage to actually implement a curvy body with, you know, some, at least, you know, double D's or D's, not even double D, D's at least. And you give her, you know, maybe a BBL, and that wouldn't hurt. They work for GTA. And before the feminist, white knights, male feminists, LGBTQ activists, pronoun activists, and just weirdos in general pull out their pitchforks, torches, nooses, and dildos with daggers on it, pull the top off and the dagger comes out, like on some penguin shit.
What's a trigger warning?
Actually, bruh, asking me what a trigger warning is one of my triggers, bruh. I feel traumatized, bruh. And now I'm tweeting about you, bruh. And now you're trending, bruh. And now your life is ruined, bruh. And now you're fired, bruh.
What happened to bra?
I got one question for all y'all. Do y'all even play this game? Like, seriously, do y'all even play this game? Like, do any of y'all generally care about this game's well-being? Or is it merely another tool for your ancient Greco agendas? Because let's be real here. If this game completely tanks, none of y'all are gonna catch it as it falls from grace. These people are propagandists, and everything to them in entertainment is ripe for the propagation of their ideology. We have so many examples of this in just recent years. I mean, damn near the entire Western branch of the gaming industry has bent the knee to these people, bro. Like, little do they know, or maybe they do know, but again, it's about the message here, bro. Gosh. They only leave behind chaos, destruction, and unemployment in their wake. And as Uncle Jimmy always says,
chaos always favors the establishment.
Yes.
Chaos always
And if you feel like you're living in a chaotic country, it's because it's intentional.
At least they didn't take the true authoritarian approach that Activision did by recording all in-game comms and even using an AI bot to voice chat ban people. If they said anything remotely spicy, they would get voice chat banned. It's ridiculous. You tell someone to shut up, shut the hell up, whatever, ban. I've heard so many stories about people getting voice chat banned on Call of Duty, and it's kind of conditioned people to not want to talk at all. That's just, I'm being real. People want to be toxic, and if they can't be toxic, if they can't express themselves after hard days of work and being frustrated with life in general, like, what's the point? You know, it's like, I'll just do me, go on Discord or Xbox party or PlayStation party and just talk shit there, I guess. I gotta be honest though, I highly doubt Embark will go that far with their games since they don't have the luxury to. They don't have an IP even a quarter as well known as Call of Duty yet. But that Arc Raiders though. That Arc Raiders though. That playtest though. That right there could be the one right there. Also, I do think they understand that toxicity is the nature of competitive FPS games. I think they know that. I would argue that that's the multiplayer games in general, but I digress. I mentioned earlier that you guys don't have the luxury to voice chat ban players, but you are censoring them in the text chat, so we behave like good little kitties.
Aww. I think this is the one that I'm gonna put my name on.
So no D word, no B word, not even the A word, and definitely neither of the F bombs, right? And look, I get it. You know, the F slur, you know, I get it. The epithet, it's inappropriate, it's wrong, etc. I get it, guys, I get it. But come on, man. Just everyday basic profanity is prohibited because Mrs. Jenny Holdscheiser thinks it's inappropriate, right? Come on, guys. You know, come on, man. Embark, seriously, you guys are softer than baby wipes, man. At this point, like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Stop trying to be Activision in its subsidies, okay? I thought the whole point of making your own studio, Patrick, was to not be like the AAA establishment bootlickers. But then again, you were the former chief design officer of Electronic Arts, correcto mundo? So I shouldn't be surprised. And don't get me started on the piss poor audio of not being able to hear player footsteps when they're sprinting behind you. Like that, come on guys, this is Call of Duty shit.
Yeah, I know it, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Don't hear him, don't fucking hear him, drop down nothing. As I'm shooting this guy, don't hear anything, not getting any information. Right, I'm too reliant on when games used to, like, when they were good. When you can hear things around you directionally.
We're supposed to be above COD. Embark, what the fuck are we doing? And now we got Ascorio making woke ass I'm depressed and if you are too, you're not alone videos. With the J. Cole cap of Duracin song, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. First of all, okay, J. Cole, you know I love you, brother. You know I love you, J. Cole. I fuck with you, bro. I fuck with you. I really do. But if you want to stand on that, if you want to stand on business, okay, give all the money you've accumulated throughout your entire career to the most legit charity you can find and go kick it with the fentanyl addict downstairs. Because according to you, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. All right, then, based on that logic, the nigga downstairs, the fentanyl addict, he living just as good as you, right? So give up that money, you don't need it. Every life's the same, right? Every life's the same. So you don't need to have all that money, just let yo. Okay. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. You don't, let's be real, let's be adult, let's be real here. You can talk all that, oh, you know, we all the same, we all equal talk, but at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, you know, when the rubber hits the road, you're like, hey, there's a hierarchy. There's a class structure globally that no one wants to be real about because everybody's on that old bullshit. Now recently the homie Moist Critikal played the finals and gave a good word to boost the player base numbers. But don't get too cozy with that, Embark. How long will said buff last? We both know modern gamers and people in general have goldfish memory and painfully short attention spans. So it would be wise to stay vigilant and keep listening to constructive criticisms, because at the end of the day, very few content creators online will be outspoken in terms of the shortcomings of the finals, me being one of them. So with all that being said, I want to thank the YouTube OG, the man, the myth, the legend, the homie Charlie, aka Peniel, aka Moist Critikal, for showing love to the final, someone of that stature to really give his cosign to the game. It was a necessary band-aid for the bleeding player base. There has been a noticeable boost by not only Charlie's cosign, but Dr. Disrespect's as well, since he finally returned to the game recently and he's been really enjoying it. He's been loving the finals. I think for him, it was a pleasant surprise, right? He's been grinding out Warzone endlessly for months on end. Even his own diehard fans are kind of tired of it. The only people who aren't tired of it are, of course, the Ritalin addicted, Adderall addicted, ADHD the fuck out, Spurgy ass, TikTok brain, Warzone fans, supporters, I guess. But thankfully, people are coming around to the finals slowly. And if this momentum keeps progressing, we could really see a renaissance era for the finals, which leads us to this next segment, which is the finals, content creators, and how Embark's gonna handle them. So I wanna go in depth on that right now. Embark does not share the same authoritarian nature as Activision, but when they were asked about partnering with content creators, which is what Call of Duty was doing for a bit, their response was, we're definitely open to exploring collaborations with content creators for community events, but it needs to align with our vision for the finals and be the right fit for both the community and the content creators involved. We're always looking at ways to make these kinds of ideas work. Look at the wording, guys. It needs to align with our vision for the finals and be the right fit. Now, what exactly does that really mean, right? It sounds harmless at first, but bear in mind, you're dealing with a company that has a parent company that's more than likely policing what they can and can't do. I'd reckon that an improper fit would be someone like the two-time, since at this point, he would be deemed a controversial public figure who displays quote-unquote toxic masculine traits. Even though I personally believe the finals would benefit substantially for having a much more bombastic, spicy, fiery personality leading the charge, right? Instead of the, same generic milquetoast, key pencil-necked, nasally, or monotone, verbose, over-enunciating content creators. Respectfully to them, I mean, nothing against them. I'm sure most of them are exceptional at the game, but in 2025, y'all, and beyond, it takes a lot more than just gaming talent to hold an ever-growing ADHD, autistic, short attention span having audience. A lot of them just want short bursts of dopamine hits, despite the fact that their dopamine receptors are probably fried due to information overload and content overload. People are overstimulated, guys. You gotta be an intriguing personality and a talented and/or skilled gamer to hold their attention. This is why people like IShowSpeed, Kai Cenat, Queso, Jinxie, etc. have such a large audience. And they're very loud and bombastic, and that's what this generation loves. And ironically enough, despite that, Asmongold right now is one of the top watched streamers in the world, and he has become a very controversial public figure in recent years. So I say Embark to just take the plunge with Doc and other quote-unquote brand risk, regardless of the woke backlash from all the blue hairs. Always remember, these woke weirdos will not patronize your business, Embark. Nor do they genuinely care about your products. So stop pandering to them. That's just my 2 cents to these wonderful devs who've made 2 superb IPs. I gotta be honest, they're amazing games. These are masterpieces, but again, the finals has these issues. A lot of it has to do with the fallacy that there's an amazing, modern, progressive audience that's gonna buy their shit. No, they don't exist. That's a lie. I don't see how. Unless it's a BlackRock ESG thing, I don't get why they don't understand this. The audience demands new stars, y'all, especially after what I like to call the downfall of Hollywood royalty, which was primarily due to the 2 Steens, Harvey and Jeffrey. And as I said before, a person like Doc, Timmy, or Ninja, and yes, I know they're not in good terms, would be ideal. The finals doesn't have any content creators with flavor. And to be honest, I wouldn't doubt that Embark would prefer more of a walking billboard, milquetoast, unproblematic corporatist than an actual colorful, outspoken, honest content creator that delivers great content, irreplaceable content, but they won't bull people just to sell a product or to spread a politicized message. They're honest and incorruptible. They're not politically inclined even. This may sound far too idealistic, but in my honest opinion, it's the ideal scenario for the betterment of the finals. I'll go over more wokeism in the future video because I'm gonna be really breaking down the origins of wokeism, what it is, why it's problematic, but understand this, that wokeism is one of the worst plagues humanity has ever seen within modern entertainment. And I would argue entertainment in general, and it's far more nefarious than many know. It's a deep rabbit hole, and despite how positive they say their intent is, there's a very dark, insidious underbelly to all of it that needs to be exposed. The populace is owed that, especially if these people are gonna continue to treat our beloved IPs as food for the vultures. And I ain't talking about Ye and Ty Dolla $ign. As woke as Embark is, at the very least, they did not jump out the window like we're seeing with so many AAA studios when it came to Charlie Kirk's passing. Even Rockstar Games was not exempt from throwing shade at Charlie Kirk after his passing. Many celebrities, game devs, community managers, etc. simply couldn't keep their mouths closed. They just had to dance on Charlie Kirk's grave, which is repugnant, disgusting, inhumane, vile, and quite frankly, it's painfully unprofessional. It's like everyone forgot they have a product to sell, and disrespecting someone with that much influence and love for millions of people around the world could have grave repercussions for your company and your IPs. It's similar to what happened to another legendary historical figure, Allah, Kevin Samuels. Y'all remember him, right? And do y'all also remember how many women on the internet who, oddly enough, shared the same skin tone as Mr. Samuels, and despite that, they jumped for joy over his passing, similar to how people celebrated Mr. Kirk's passing. The difference was, people didn't just do the Harlem Shake. OG, by the way, not the new weird one that people did on YouTube, not that one, ugh.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
And they did the gritty on his grave, like with Kevin Samuels.
You support his death?
Fuck Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk and you support his death. You support Charlie Kirk Shooter?
Sure do. He does all favors.
Would you shoot somebody like Charlie Kirk?
I would have killed him myself.
People were moonwalking.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. You can see how hard the president is taking this.
A few inches later.
But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. And
stop the cap.
Doing the Dougie.
I saw a screenshot of it saying Charlie Kirk got shot, let's fucking go. And then an Instagram one which was Charlie Kirk got shot, lol.
The neck dance, I guess it's called that? The gritty.
I'm sure that y'all had heard about the school shooting, because to me that is something that is more concerning than a douchebag who brings karma down on himself. I mean, ironically, the moment he's getting shot, what is he doing? When he's asked about mass shootings, comparison to gang violence in a dismissive way, tell me that wasn't karma doing her finest work. Yeah, I'll praise the shooter. He did a good job. He did good. Yeah.
Okay, internet, do your thing. This woman is teaching her children. This is why we have the problems that we have, is because these children are indoctrinated and they are brainwashed from hags like this.
The pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it.
Hey,
heard of Ozempic, you fat ass?
The Superman. Oh!
System forward! Local resistance! Those who fought for liberty! Reverse side of fuck the admin!
The mop!
I absolutely do love Charlie Kirk. Well, dig him up and fuck him in the neck hole.
Oh. Wow, how
Why don't you fuck his corpse in the neck if you
Why
love
you
him
hiding
so much?
your fucking
Dig
fat
him up
hot dog
and
neck
fuck
on
him.
there?
He likes me to wear.
And the dead dance, pun not fucking intended, by the way.
Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security.
I'm showing my fucking age here, aren't I? Yeah, I think I am. You get the picture. A lot of these people spare no expense to display their disdain and hatred for these two icons. And with these crazed, deeply depressed, sociopathic, sadistic, mentally ill, young, and middle-aged women being unchecked for their objectively bad behavior when it came to Kevin Samuels passing, this, in my opinion, contributed to setting up an awful precedence for how people react to a polarizing figure passing. We, as a society, need to nip said bad behavior in the bud before it grows like a cancer and consumes the body being the United States of America as we know it, or as we knew it at least. So again, I gotta give Embark Studios props for not falling into the same pitfalls that many Western devs, journalists, community managers, etc. have fallen into. And looky here, we see Dee Dee with her poked out. There's hope for these proof fucks yet? Embark is learning. They're slowly seeing the light, so we're getting somewhere here, guys. We are. There's some progression here. And I ain't talking about their progression. I ain't gonna cap a chain. But we still have a long way to go. Adding the maid outfit and this Dragon Surge vest with the midriff, again, is a welcome change along with the right cut, but here's a challenge for you, Embark. Do a midriff top. That's, need I say it? It's a super duper scary word for you guys. I said it earlier, but not in this context. It's sexy. I know, what a yucky, icky word for the ears of the wokies, right? You motherfuckers are prudes, but it is what it is. Hopefully you guys accept my challenge and we'll know where Embark truly stands. And you know, when it comes to their body type 1 option in the finals, you're left with the uniboob option. Hopefully that'll change in the coming seasons because players have been asking for more options when it comes to the bust and the sizes for many seasons, guys. Of course, more than likely, those requests will fall on Embark's deaf ass ears, but only time will tell, guys. Now, speaking of Asmongold, he reacted to the homegirl, and she went in depth on a topic that I've had countless debates with people over the years, and the exact reason why we see so much pushback from even the finals players who are perfectly fine with the sandpaper face options in the finals. This segment is meant to give you, the viewer, a greater understanding of why I have the stance that I do when it comes to the uglification of women in the finals and modern AAA games in general. And I find it comical how you have these passive, beta male, choke-bearing, unified soy boys who literally go along with anything and everything that pertains to new wave feminism, presentism. Their passivity will be their undoing. Little do they know, or maybe they do know, but they're fully black-pilled. Nihilism has consumed them. So it's just this, who gives a fuck, bro? It's just a video game, dude. It's just, who cares, bro? It's never that deep, dude. It's never that deep. Like, you're too deep in, bro. Go outside, touch some grass, bro. Like, it's just a game. Like, who cares if people are cheating? Who cares if we're being manipulated? Who cares about, there being ugly bitches in video games, bro? Who cares, bro? YOLO bullshit mentality, which is also why people have become apathetic to the cheating problem in modern day games. That's a topic I'll cover in my next video. Now, for those who don't know, Presentism is the practice of interpreting or judging the past through the lens of modern day values, knowledge, and standards. This is why these crazed radical left wokies were attacking historical figures like Napoleon Bonaparte for being a toxic masculine male. And on top of that, it didn't help that woked up Ridley Scott poured gasoline on the fire by depicting Napoleon in a fairly historically inaccurate manner. This is a common trend of the wokies, retroactively altering legendary IPs, games, films, censoring retro movie posters, and even censoring scenes in movies, such as the example you're gonna see here soon with the Elder Scrolls Oblivion game, and go as far as attacking real-life historical figures. It's absurd. And the Cho Bears are completely fine with these IPs being altered, even though they themselves will not patronize these megacorporal products. It's virtue signaling for the sake of getting acceptance and validation to what they perceive as the new dominant culture, the new normal, the acceptable normal, I should say. And trust and believe there's big money to psyop the public to go along with all these sick, borderline, genocidal / unaliving agendas. Have y'all seen the fertility rates and the women on the gram and TikTok celebrating that?
CDC just reported that the birth rate has declined. You're welcome. For the first time in U.S. history, there are more babies being born to women in their 40s than girls in their teens. Well done, ladies. Well done. There are more women waiting to have children until they are ready, and younger women are more focused on getting an education and a career before they start having families. Let's keep it going, ladies. Let's set our sights on another decline for 2025.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Yeah. And one thing a lot of women seem to overlook due to being mind-controlled into supporting their own oppression and supporting causes that are not truly in their interests is that they themselves are under attack. They themselves are being discouraged and bullied into submission. Either you get down with the new normal, or you have internalized misogyny, or you're a pick-me, or pick-misha if you're black, apparently, and are not to be trusted. Thus, you've been exiled from the sisterhood of misandry. The fact that people even have to ask what a woman is, ladies and gentlemen, we've officially lost the plot as a society. And if we don't correct course soon...
One of the stupidest and most hollow arguments that you will hear when you bring up the fact that there has been a very obvious change in how women are depicted in video games.
Yeah, they look like men. They look like androgynous men. Their boobs are smaller. They're uglier. They look older. And they're made to probably reflect the people that made the game, which is not what people want to be, okay? You want to be, you want to see people like that? Go to Walmart.
But you are wrong for criticizing it, and you just want female characters to fit into your hyper-femme fantasy of fuckability.
What's wrong with that? You can have these girls that write these books about sucking a horse's for 500 pages, but meanwhile, we can't have a human female with a larger than D-cup chest? Get the fuck out of here. Some chick wants to write a book about being 5'1". Her boyfriend is a 7'8" werewolf that's a billionaire. And it's like half of the pages in the book are describing the veins on his dick. But somehow, Eve from Stellar Blade is too much.
Well said, Asmund. I think the smoking gun for this was with the Spider-Man 2 game. How the uglified Mary Jane, she had a noticeably chiseled crimson chin. Y'all remember Crimson Gin? My 90s babies, or 80s actually. I'm more of an 80s actually, but you get the picture. You could break boulders with that muff. I'm just saying, there's obviously the case with the finals. I mean, look at the punk rock chick in season 8, the in-game character model for Valkyrie from season 6. I mean, there's no level of gaslighting that's going to convince me that there's not only an agenda to push this radical left, millennial, woked up slop, but that it's directly tied in with the establishment in their will, in their agendas. After all, things seem to be going a little bit too smoothly. Don't you agree, Miss Jane Goodall?
We cannot hide away from human population growth because, you know, it underlies so many of the other problems. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago.
The countless zombified women will help with this grand quest. And, spoiler alert, it's working.
This is a real comment that I got, by the way, on my World of Warcraft video where I talk about how Liadrin does not look like a blood elf. Doesn't really fit that specific,
No, she doesn't.
already well-established look that we've grown accustomed to for years.
Yeah, because exactly.
One thing that is said to me over and over again whenever I bring this up is that I just want to pander to gooners, and that unless video game characters look like porn stars, they're apparently not good enough for me. I find it so hypocritical and ironic that the people that accuse me of these sorts of things are the ones that are bringing this conversation into some very vulgar and sexual places.
Of course.
It is incredibly harmful to equate femininity to a term like fuckability. It's weird, and it suggests that presenting as more feminine is this thing that solely revolves around being more attractive to men, and that it cannot just be a thing where women express themselves in this way for the sake of expressing themselves in this way.
All it is it's a bunch of chicks that want to remove attractive female representation in popular media because it makes them feel insecure about the way they look. That's the reason why they want to do it. And the other people that are part of it, there are some girls that pay lip service to this, but I'll tell you one thing. All of these girls, if you see them make their characters in a video game, they always make their characters look at least as attractive as they are, if not more. You never see any of these girls, unless they're trying to make like some crazy, weird, like stupid looking Bloodborne character, right? Other than that, if they're trying to make it look like them, they make it look even more attractive than they are. Every single time. It's because it's not really what they believe. It's just what they're trying to say so they can feel good. That's all.
Once again, correct. Shocker, right? Shocker. These are trauma responses, guys. You see, I get backlash all the time for running a female anime waifu avatar as my contestant in the finals. I've had other women and some sexually frustrated incels take jabs at me for this. Meanwhile, their female characters are looking like Abby from The Last of Us 2, with some finals drip on top, of course. And it's wild. But I'm the bad guy because I want my baby girl to look like a baby girl? The West has become increasingly prude in recent years, in a multitude of different ways. We're regressing as a nation. I would argue that's the case for the West in general. We've lost the meaning of progressive, liberal. Progressive was never a negative thing prior to all this chaos, only when it was hijacked by these elusive NGOs and these international capitalists, and of course, others. When we the people within the West embarked, pun not intended by the way, on this strange as journey into the Twilight Zone, I mean, we're scared of our own genitalia. We're scared to bring life into the world. We're scared of each other. We don't trust each other. We're scared of the future and dismiss the unsavory past. Thus, we believe we know better, or that we are better than our ancestors. But remember, there's a reason why humanity has survived for thousands of years, and now we're in a fast track to overcorrect the natural order of things. To our detriment, that is. And the worst part about it, there's millions of people globally who are cool with this. They don't give a shit. They're indifferent. Like, I mean, if it dies, it dies. Worth the duck.
I've already said this in my Why I Only Play Old Games video, where it's starting to feel a lot like femininity and the term in itself, especially in gaming, is becoming this like inherently evil, vulgar thing. With comments like this, my point is proven. For some reason, calling for more feminine characters that aren't big, strong, muscular girl bosses or haven't had their appearance visibly toned down from their real-life models is seen as equal to asking for something really offensive and crass. The thing that I've gathered is that what we really want are options. We want the option to be able to run around in a chainmail bikini or go full coverage plate armor, epic medieval knight style.
I think this is also a really good point too that she's bringing up, is that I don't think that in the same way that you have the newer developers that are trying to force these androgynous bald women onto you, I don't think that you should also try to force hypersexualized women onto other people either. I think giving people choices and letting them play what they want is generally a better option rather than trying to force them into doing and seeing things the way that you want.
Choice is everything, guys. After all, we as humans have free will, or at least we're supposed to. But unfortunately, some people are far too content with their lord and peasant relationships they have with those of means. But nonetheless, it's only right for studios to adhere to human nature. Give us the choice to have a baby girl or tumble lard or this.
And then as far as with non-binary and transgender, I hope that we just start seeing that the future is here whether we like it or not. We need to not just accept it, but embrace it.
You know what game had options? The original Oblivion.
Oh.
Remember my video on censorship in the Oblivion remaster where I showed the changes in clothing and armor that were made to appear less feminine?
Yeah, I see. Their boobs are smaller.
The part about them making chests smaller, taking away the
absolutely.
things from female bodies that we literally cannot help having in favor of that more androgynous.
It's the reason why there is no one who hates attractive women more than women who feel like they are less attractive than that woman.
Yo, Asman, tell us who's pushing all this woke slop, homie.
It's all a bunch of fat, old, ugly, disgusting swamp hags crying that not everybody wants to spend all day at Golden Corral eating mashed potatoes and drinking gravy.
So this was in the video, but I wanted to show you guys what the hands of the establishment mean when they say characters like Eve from Stellar Blade are harming women. Who's That's a damn shame they hating on baby girl like that, man. Let her do her thing. Shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna complain. Y'all, ladies, look, y'all, if anything, y'all gotta be, you know, she looking good, looking like a whole snackaroo. Misogyny.
It's actually insanely ironic just how conservative the standards have gotten when it comes to female game characters, especially in things like the Oblivion remaster, for which, funny enough, I got called a conservative for pointing it out. For me pointing out that there was nothing wrong with this, I got labeled all sorts of things.
Because you violated the girl code, aka the sisterhood of Massandra, and you must atone. Y'all a real one if you know what movie that line is from.
If you have a problem with this, then I don't see you as any different than the bottom feeders from over at 4chan who come into my comment section and say things like I'm prostituting myself for views when I wear a lower cut top in the video.
They're mad, they're jealous, and a lot of these, what you need to understand is that there are a lot of people on the internet, on both sides, the incels and the Karens, that have a lot of personal unresolved trauma, and they use the internet as a way to offload that trauma onto the world. But the problem is that instead of disregarding them and not paying attention to them like we should, instead of that, now we're all listening to them. Now we're actually going around and being like, oh, well, maybe this person has a point. No, you don't have a point. You have a problem. You had a problem whenever you were 17, you're 19, 23, your girlfriend broke up with you, your boyfriend cheated on you. And from the rest of that time, you now hate every girl that looks like the girl that he cheated on you with.
This goes back to what I mentioned earlier, guys. These are trauma responses and defense mechanisms. This is why Kevin Samuels would always tell these aggrieved women on his show that they need to get therapy, because obviously there's a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, and they're basically projecting and imposing their hurt onto other people, and it's not right for the opposite sex or for anybody in general. And the same thing goes for men. A lot of these dudes need therapy too, low-key. There's a lot of hurt people out here, guys, and there's a lot of untreated trauma, untreated mental illness, and it's running rampant in our society. And even though Donald Trump is reopening up the crazy houses, but that's not going to resolve these problems. This is a societal issue, and we need to get to the root of the problem, guys.
But in taking certain options away, you do just that. You take away options. The steel armor set, for example, was the exact same on both genders. But if you really wanted that weird fantasy game look for female characters with the boob armor, you could have it as well. Sure, it's not practical, but none of this is real anyway. And with the armor change, along with all of the obvious changes to make chests smaller and less apparent, or cover...
You see how this happens? We cannot let this happen, gentlemen.
Now we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.
Choice enriches society and gives way to the very diversity you wokies claim to be for, right? Being able to customize your character the exact way you want with no ideological restrictions is, well, ideal. But this whole authoritarian approach ain't it. And quite frankly, as I said earlier, it leaves nothing but unemployment in its wake. I want to make sure Embark doesn't fall into the same traps that many of these studios fall into. Thankfully, they didn't with the Charlie Kirk scenario. But when it comes to game development and the SBMM, aka everyone gets a trophy, aka everyone gets a trophy culture. That's that Oprah shit, which again doesn't adhere to human nature nor reality itself. I know it sounds good, but that's simply not how the world works, guys. And by imposing this on the populace in different areas of human activity ultimately leads to totalitarianism. We can't be short-sighted, folks. And no, we shouldn't go along to get along either. You know, there's this other game called Vindictus, and you got baby girls dressed up with the titty armor with gigantic swords slashing monsters 5 times their size, and you know what? That's dope to me. Who cares if it's unrealistic? It's dark fantasy, and again, it's not real life, but the women are attractive, thus it resonates with me personally. It's my preference, and it still adheres to human nature due to the aesthetically pleasing aesthetic, right? You see, if you want sandpaper-faced women in your games, that's also fine, so long as that doesn't become the end-all be-all, like what the wokies are trying to achieve.
The message that the female body is this bad thing that we should cover up. We shouldn't bring any attention.
Because it's being pushed by fat, ugly women. That's the reason why. And simps that want to virtue signal to young women that pretend like they care about it, that they're one of the good guys.
And the only valid female characters are the ones that are fully covered and look like they could take down any man with their bare hands.
Of course.
And look, there are times when that sort of thing can be really cool. I love a Brienne of Tarth moment. There was
it was a complex character that was nuanced and interesting. That's the reason why it was good.
Much meaning there. But when every single character is made to be a sort of Brienne of Tarth, it loses its meaning. It stops being interesting and special. It gets
Well, and
boring.
it's also that, and here's the other big issue, is that Brienne inside of Game of Thrones is shown in multiple very vulnerable states. And the problem that in a lot of these video games they have is that these characters are basically like Brienne isn't right in every single instance in Game of Thrones. It's not like she's always the good person or she always has the right opinion about everything. She's generally good, but in being such an oath-bound person, it also leads her to rigidity that causes her to run into problems, which is what makes her an interesting character. She's a multifaceted character, and her gender is part of her character that's very important, especially given what she is in the story, but it's not the entire story. And I think that's the big problem that you have whenever you compare a character like Brienne of Tarth to some other random girl boss. It's that these other girl boss characters are completely flawless. They never do anything wrong. They're right about everything. And anything bad that happens to them is probably done by a man.
It's wild how these themes within fiction bleed into the real world, and people acquiesce to it. Obviously, and ultimately, these issues stem from this current impending economic collapse, right? Men can't be the providers that their forefathers were due to the cost of living, wages being suppressed, the rise of the new wave feminism, but it makes everything worse when young, impressionable women internalize the propaganda and become increasingly more hypergamous and seek to become the girl bosses they see on the idiot box. And I ain't even mad at it. Live yours, as J. Cole says, but it's wild. Characters like Brienne from Game of Thrones is what's healthy for the populace because, again, she's multifaceted. She's not one-dimensional. She's relatable. She's very human. The common man loves people who are overtly flawed like Donald Trump. Trump, to me, is so much more human than Obama was. Obama felt like an android at times. That man never missed, especially when it came to drone strikes. Ooh, just him. Black folks still think he's like the MLK of our generation. They still think that, huh? He's not at all. He's done nothing for black folks.
The reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people. No.
What we're actually ending up with are easily forgettable and generally bland designs for female characters. It's kind of like studios are afraid to make more appealing female characters.
Well,
Again,
the thing is that, and this is why Western or Eastern studios are succeeding and non-American studios are succeeding. It's because they're not afraid to do what works. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is another great example of this, where all of the characters in Baldur's Gate 3, I would say, are generally attractive. Like the male characters are also attractive men. Like, it's not like men want to be like fat and ugly and stupid. No, they also want to play good versions of themselves too. But nobody wants to be any of these.
I don't think that an appealing female character needs to have a super revealing outfit. A character that I always bring up in these conversations is Jade from Beyond Good and Evil. She definitely has a more alternative take on femininity. She's more of a tomboy, shorter hair, unconventional color lipstick, but she sticks with you. You remember her. It's a character that's appealing not because she's this really sexy, hyper-feminine being, but she clearly is a female character that was designed by a person who has a positive attitude towards women. And that really shines through. She is strong in ways that don't necessarily mean that she has to be super jacked and she can wield a warhammer. You are encouraged to find ways other than physical fighting to progress, and she does a really good job with all of that. I've kind of gone from making female characters less sexualized to making them super bland. More and more I find that female characters are turning into background character number 4. And it is in part because we're on this really weird crusade against these elusive Guuuurls that seem to be ruining everything. I don't know why I should care.
The funny thing is that the Guuuurls will always win because those games will succeed. That's why all of these gacha games are massively popular. The entire fat acceptance movement is just a psyop by fat chicks into making guys not think they're disgusting. That's the only reason that there's a fat acceptance movement. If you look at any of the different groups of them, it's all fat chicks and some guys trying to fuck the fat chicks. But other than that, that's all there is to it. And so this is the exact same thing. And it's going to go nowhere. The same as the fat acceptance has gone nowhere. That's it.
You see, all this woke slop, as I said earlier in this video, is not profitable by a large margin. And it never will be because it doesn't adhere to human nature. It's like trying to fit a triangle block into a square-shaped slot. It doesn't work, guys. And you can force feed as many woke, weirdo, beta male cucks, feminist-minded trauma victims, and corrupt Hollywood execs, and woked-up actors, and models, and influencers, etc., etc., etc. You will never get the populace to support these agendas on a large scale, because deep down inside, even the most plebbed out consumer knows that if it's woke, it's inherently broke, and such will be the fate of the companies that's peddling these propaganda pieces.
Somebody, God forbid, is attracted to one of my favorite female characters. Like, that's none of my business, really. It doesn't affect me that somebody's over there, like, drooling over a particular character.
Who cares?
But I'm enjoying it because games are meant to be fun. Part of the fun are appealing game characters, because then you have cosplayers who take on the character and show...
Yeah, you never see cosplayers dressing up as any of these ugly chicks, I'll tell you that.
I remember seeing this TikTok from a plus-size creator who was cosplaying a character from the anime One Piece. Don't quote me on that because I haven't watched One Piece, but I believe she was cosplaying Boa Hancock. Somebody in her comments said, well, actually, you look more like this character and you probably should have done this cosplay instead. The creator responded by saying, just because I'm plus-sized does not mean I always have to cosplay fat characters. And yeah, she is 100% right, because that's not what cosplay is. This idea that attractive characters are somehow harmful and they're not for everybody is absurd. Deep down, all of us want to look good. For me, like, that's part of the appeal of cosplay, getting a character who's really attractive, dressing up as this character, and seeing myself in that character. Appealing game characters inspire people, no matter what they look like or who they are, to come up with something, their own interpretation of said character. This whole thing of not appealing to someone's fantasy or the male fantasy in the long run is actually perpetuating an unhealthy attitude towards women. Blaming attractive female characters because men are attracted to them.
Yes.
Just think about that for 1 second.
Yeah, and think about who would care about that. Like, ask yourself the question, why would you care that men are attracted to attractive women? Think about the group of people that affects.
Indeed, Asmon. It's the usual suspects, and let's be honest, it's as predictable as me being called all types of is and isms by the wokies on social media after this video drops. Unfortunately for them, ad hominem attacks are ineffective when it comes to me because I already know what they're going to say and do. But alas, this whole idea of shaming men who dare to adhere to their masculine frame and accept biology for what it is, who dare to express their love and joy for the female body in its many shapes and forms, is ultimately a psyop in itself. And I personally believe it's a ploy set up by a cabal of extremely wealthy, misanthropic individuals. I've even seen people who've also become heterophobic. Yes, that's a thing, guys. There's actually people out there that despise heterosexual relationships, even though they themselves quite literally wouldn't exist without it. And here we have a paradox, a misanthropic one at that. Or you could call it anti-natalism, which we are also seeing a scary rise in that psychotic school of thought, if you will, which in turn creates this perfect storm of cultural warfare within the West in general. And unfortunately, it affects all areas of human activity, and that obviously includes game development, with these DEI firms like Canada's very own Sweet Baby Inkster! A lot of people on the right fought long and hard to get those weirdos packed up. Little did we know, Sweet Baby Inc. was simply one of many narrative development consultation studios that are actively destroying our beloved IPs from the inside. Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Suicide Squad, trash-ass game by the way, God of War, Ragnarok, and many others were infected by the Sweet Baby Inc. disease. They know that they can't corrupt and triumph over the chuds with a new IP that's woked up out the gate. So let's slip our propaganda in fully established and beloved IPs. That way we can ambush them with our propaganda. Ooh. And they may not even notice because it's Spider-Man. He's fucking the mail.
The Guuuurl game argument is unproductive,
Everybody knows it.
unintelligent, and it does way more harm than good. Video games are art, video game characters are art. It's also valid to criticize the art for very obviously approaching female character design with this caution against the Guuuurls that in actual fact is creating a hostile attitude towards femininity. One thing that I will stand very firmly on is that equating femininity, just the simple concept of femininity without sexual attraction, without all of that, equating it to something really vulgar and using terms like fuckability and Guuuurl game, especially when you're shown examples of something really tame and just like elements that women really cannot help having. When you use such harsh language to describe all of that, you are part of the problem.
They're the entire problem. And then guys that virtue signal in order to hopefully get girls to think that. Like, and again, I think a lot of guys are not about this stuff. They don't really play a lot of these games. They don't really care about this stuff. They don't go after girls that look like this. And again, that's why I always use the cosplay example again, is that these girls never cosplay these characters. They don't want to look like these characters. And to the extent that they're told that they look like these characters, they're insulted. And I think that men go along with it because there's like an implicit sexism by pushing back against it because you have like a toxic positivity nature or a culture inside of that workplace. And so men don't feel like they're able to talk about it.
All right. I know what some of y'all are thinking. Hey, yo, Haru! Hey, yo, Rue! Hey, yo, Rue! I'm just here to play video games. Why would I care about all this political hoopla, right? I'm just here to unwind after slaving away at my 9-to-5. I'm just here to escape the harsh realities of living in a pay-to-live society. I'm just here to escape my own personal problems. I'm just here because I love video games and I just want to game and partake in gaming culture / geek culture. I get it, guys, I get it. But the unsavory reality is in this era within modernity, everything, and I mean everything, has become politicized, whether we like it or not. There's no burying your head in the sand any longer and wondering why our beloved IPs are being altered. I'm talking about character designs, lore, and personalities are being sanitized at the behest of the multinational capitalists who will it. We've seen quite a few victories over wokeism as a whole, with some of the big East Asian corporations jumping ship and returning to form, with Square Enix and Sony falling back from the whole appealing to the global audience narrative, right? With the rise of
China.
we've seen a massive shift back to East Asians dominating the gaming industry. History has repeated itself, and the West, specifically North America, is slowly losing its grip over the gaming industry and the entertainment industry as a whole. Crowbarring identity politics into all forms of entertainment has backfired on the West in ways I'm sure they didn't expect.
What is it about the characters that you're creating that in roleplay wasn't there before?
This disconnect with the professional managerial class and above with the common man is concerning and does not bode well for the future of the entertainment industry in the US of A, let alone matters that pertain to foreign and domestic politics as a whole. These past 2 years alone, we've seen content creators from different corners of the internet unite under the preservation of freedom of speech and freedom of artistic expression, as we saw with Japan pushing back on the Western activists placing boundaries up against foreign interference of their creative processes within their forms of art. Content creators who were definitely not politically astute, many who would avoid politics altogether due to its divisive nature. However, I think it's safe to say that Charlie Kirk's passing was the straw that broke the camel's back, which further intensified the already culturally contentious climate with pernicious language from the other side, if you will. The influencers who peddle all the polemics for the masses to consume. And with the finals, season 9, yet again, we've got more sandpaper-faced ass women. Misogyny, hooroo! Misogyny! Now understand this, guys. Embark Studios struck gold with Arc Raiders, even managed to subtly woke it up. I mean, again, just like with the finals, I mean, these faces, god dog.
Are all these people fucking like aliens? Look it. They're like different. They're not even humans. It's like different species. Why do we have to go with like the weirdest like designed faces? Just go with some like normal. Why do they have to be like all like stretched out and like this guy's from like a Marvel movie or something? Yeah. Let's get a little like let's get some facial creation processes going. Maybe in the full.
That robot NPC, I mean, what even is that? But hey, the game's a legit masterpiece regardless. And the NPCs, at least for now, are inconsequential to the overall gaming experience, since it's not necessarily a narrative-driven game, at least not currently. So it's easy to dismiss said blemishes. I'll be covering Arc Raiders in another video in depth. Now understand this also, guys. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion in and of itself is not problematic once it's implemented properly. What I mean by that is, there's nothing wrong with having a diverse cast of characters or even having a female lead protagonist, but the groundwork for said characters has to be properly executed without making their race or gender their entire identity, and without creating a social justice warrior propaganda piece, which unfortunately, when it comes to Hollywood, or at least modern day Hollywood, and the gaming industry in the West in general, that's asking quite a lot, guys.
Making money is fine. Like I'm a believer in the free market generally. I'm a believer in capitalism strongly. But then the problem is you have this combination of capitalism-driven capture efforts combined with people who don't care about making money nearly so much as pushing their particular social ideals. Like you've probably seen this in Hollywood. You certainly see it in the games industry, where you have people who are joining the industry not because they want to make great games, not even because they want to make money. And I say like making great games is the best reason. Making money is an acceptable reason. It's because they want to, bring about greater equity and representation of people that look like them. And like that's fine to have as a thing in the back of your mind, but there's people who are joining where that is what they want to do. And anyone who's against it, they're going to berate them. Anyone in the company who says, I actually think we should make games for our customers, not the people you wish were our customers. Like, let's make games for the guys who buy our games, not the moms you wish were buying our games. And people like that are being ejected out of companies. It's very politically incorrect. There's a question.
Well, that's the Bud Light dilemma, right?
Exactly. Well,
they tried to make Bud Light for people who don't want Bud Light.
It's this
and make fun of the Bud Light people.
It's the mythical audience. It's like it's a mythical mainstream audience. They say and it's even worse in gaming because they'll say things like, 50% of gamers are stay-at-home moms. And you're like, what? That obviously isn't true. And what it is it's something like there's a lot of stay-at-home moms who've played Candy Crush a few times. And like, there's a lot of them. And they're like, therefore, we need to build to that market. Okay, like, I don't want to get into a fight over like what a gamer is, but what do you think sounds like a better business plan? To go after the young men primarily who buy a dozen $50 games a year, or the mom who once spent $5 on Candy Crush? Like, you know, and there's kind of, and if you say that, if you put it the way I just put it, they're like, that's so sexist of you. Why don't you want to bring in new audiences? I saw this when I was in Silicon Valley. What I called it was, I said there's too many people who drink Starbucks and not enough who drink Mountain Dew. And you know exactly what I mean when I say that. Like it's been a really bizarre thing to watch in all of these different industries.
Yeah, it's a mind virus. It captured universities and then it bled out into corporations.
And as we've seen time and time again, that hiring a person of color or a specific gender simply because they are a person of color or a specific gender and not solely off merit has some serious drawbacks that are ultimately detrimental to pre-established intellectual properties and even newly established IPs. It's simply a template that doesn't work and needs to be discarded and replaced with a merit-based system, not this strange, distorted system based on nepotism and cult-like behavior. I personally believe DEI, once implemented properly, in the case of game design, if you hire people of color off merit as opposed to simply trying to virtue signal, these studios would drown in the fruits of their labor. Even before DEI studios would hire people of color who were the best of the best, and it benefited them substantially.
Those are drying up, and then, okay, now the diversity's off the table, now equity's off the table, now inclusion's off the table. So that makes me ask myself, okay, so how do we survive? Well, are there black people in there tonight? Yeah. And in your heart, do you think for what it is that you do and who you are, do you think you're the best? Okay, so do you want the job because you're black or because you're the best? The best. Do you want someone to support your startup because you're black or because you're the best? Yes. Right, so I think now for me it's about us having the best ambition. That's the reason why you should support these businesses. Yes, they have to be black and brown, but it should be based on the thesis that we're the best, not because we are a total shade of a skin color. That's a point of view that I have now that I'm resting on, and if diversity, equity, and inclusion ever comes back in styles, cool. But in the meantime, I'm going to focus on being the best because I can bank on that. Because that's what's going to get you the position. Where, you know, I don't want you to give me anything. I want you to panic and not let me out the room because I'm the best.
Look, guys, I get it. Historically, and in some cases currently, black folks were discriminated against within the job market and even universities, which led to affirmative action, allegedly. I understand that people of color and FBAs need these quote-unquote safeguards as a means to fight racism, but the truth is, guys, I'd rather people patronize my business or want to hire me because I'm that guy. My work speaks for itself. I don't need your pity. I don't need any sort of backhanded handouts that won't even benefit me the way they say it does. I don't need any symbolic gestures, and I don't need you to virtue signal to me. I want you to understand that my work is undisputed, irrefutable, and unmatched. It is undeniable. And that to me goes a lot further than the band-aid that is affirmative action. Because at the end of the day, guys, all the hoopla, all the noise that we're hearing pertaining to affirmative action is really just that, noise. The reality is, black folks don't really benefit from it the way people say they do. And ironically enough, it's primarily white women who benefit the most from affirmative action, and that's a fact. So we gotta get off this whole idea that black folks are in need of some sort of handout from the establishment, right? Because the reality is, guys, it's just not gonna happen. And we need to adapt and find more creative ways to navigate through this new era, this new industrial revolution, the new America century, the new you will have nothing and be happy paradigm.
Back all of the years from my youth, when I was lied to about what I can and can't do. Even through Jim Crow, that still was not true. Black business and prosperous schools, we let it go for a movement of rules. Turning to Marxists for fear of a noose. Turns out all along it was communist Jews and communist whites and communist blacks. Destroying a nation, a full-blown attack. Created black culture through trends and fads, through television and marketing ads. Evil is not good and good is not bad, but sadly black culture's not telling you that. Sadly black culture is peddling cap. You hear it from Rolling and you hear it in rap. Urban morning shows and barbershop chat.
Chad done sold out, why he go and do that? Simply cause I will not fall for the trap. Chad done sold out, why he go and do that? Cause sadly black culture don't know how to act.
Chad done sold out, why'd he go and do that? Cause God is greater than the skin on my back. Chad done sold out, why'd he go and do that? I keep it a buck, $1 million a stack. Repent of your sins and get back on track.
When I was talking to a friend of mine about the Marvel movies, and he doesn't, watch YouTube videos or look into stuff that pertains to woke culture or, Kathleen Kennedy or whatever. But, even he was like, he's a hardcore normie when it comes to this stuff. And he's like, yo, there's something weird going on with Marvel movies. They ain't hitting like they used to. They feel kind of gay.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
Well, then maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, put a chick in it and make her name it gay.
But Mrs. Kennedy, Bambi's a baby deer.
Baby deer, put a chick in it, make her gay. Put a chick in it and make her name it gay. Put a chick in it and make her name it gay. It means put a chicken and make her fucking gay. It means put a chicken and make her fucking gay. I think that things are being kept from me. And if you're going to keep things from me, then you'd better put a chick in it and make it fucking gay as fuck.
All right, y'all, that's the video. This will be a short series of videos covering the issues that are plaguing the finals. And let's be clear, these aren't glaze sessions. I will always be brutally honest about these issues. For my next video, I will be covering the incredibly toxic community that this game is burdened with. Bear in mind that I got a lot of love for the finals and Embark Studios, despite everything. But remember, when you truly love someone, you gotta be honest about their shortcomings so they can improve upon them and thrive. It's called tough love, true love. Embark may not like it, but they'll definitely thank me later for it. Being a sycophantic glazer helps no one but the individual doing the glazing. I actually want to see this game grow, evolve, and see the light of day 10 years from now. Anyway, y'all, give me your thoughts on this video in the comment section below. Don't forget to drop a like. It greatly helps the channel grow, and it also improves the reach of this particular video. We gotta get this out there. We gotta make sure Embark knows how problematic this DEI situation is. It's going to kill the game if they keep going in this direction. It may seem minute to some, but it has an impact in the long run. Anyway, guys, I love you guys. Have a blessed day, and always make sure to take care of yourselves and each other.